All right. Well, how's it going? A little music to pump you up. Well, good afternoon. I hope you're having a great day today. So, my name is Andrew File. Most of y'all, we're doing a recording, so this will be shared after the fact. We have some folks here joining us via Zoom, and then we're also on Facebook Live. And so welcome everybody. So glad to have you. Again, my name is Andrew File. I am the executive director at Every Neighborhood Partnership. And ENP has been around for about 12 years, and we launched really with the goal to see churches get connected and be a blessing to schools in our community. That mission has looked in a variety of forms and fashions. So it's been a sports program, it's been on-campus literacy and tutoring and school support. And then throughout the years, we've had a variety of different summer programs, ones that ENP has run ourselves. And we've, set up in somebody's backyard and run an after-school program, or we've partnered with community organizations to do summer programs. And so this kind of event, and really this conversation, we just wanted to, we're coming out of the fog and the haze of COVID and starting to think about, okay, knowing the reality on the ground of a lot of our kids have been in stressful situations. I mean, the parents and the school system are doing the best they can, but we know kids are behind. And we also know a lot of them are really craving attention and support. So what could we do? And one of the things we thought is helpful is just to share some options and some resources. So this morning or this afternoon, we have some folks on with us that are going to give us some of the example of what they have done in the past, what they're going to do this summer, and also some things that you can plug folks into this summer. So we know this is going to be super helpful, a lot of relevant information. And then at the end, we'll do some kind of questions and response. So, you can feel free on Facebook or in the chat on Zoom to throw in your questions, and Janessa and I will facilitate those as we go through this time. So without continuing to talk, I'll just go ahead and introduce Janessa Heffler, who is our Literacy Mentor Director at Every Neighborhood Partnership.
Thanks, Andrew. And thanks to all of you joining us here. We're just excited to start talking about everyone's favorite season, summer, right? Yeah. So Andrew, if you want to hit the next slide. Yep. We saw some data from Peach Jar. So Peach Jar, if you haven't heard of them, they're the organization that does school flyers, like Fresno Unified and Clovis Unified use them. And they did a survey of all the parents that they connect with. And this was what parents said. So, this summer, how likely are you to have your child participate in a summer program, an in-person program, and an online program? And we just thought this was interesting that 90% of parents that responded want their kids in a summer program. And of those, a good chunk of them are open to in-person too. So I just think parents are feeling the long year and want their kids to connect with their peers and probably get out the house for a little while. So that was one cool data. And then one more. They also asked what types of programs that they would be interested for their kids. And so you'll see here the highest was sports, followed by music and arts and tutoring, STEM, youth groups, and college readiness. So highest on the list was just sports, getting kids a chance to get outside and be active and to play. So thinking about what could you do this summer to give kids that space to play and to connect with other kids. And then I was going to find some data about why kids need the support, but all the data is really just sad. It's a little depressing that I think social, emotionally, and academically, you all know if you're on here, you're connected with kids in some way. So the kids you've been around, too, like they need a chance just to be with their peers, to get out of the house. And academically, it's been a tough year. A lot of teachers and schools are working really hard, but online learning just doesn't fully connect with all kids like in-person can. So anything you can do to support kids, whether it's social, emotionally, or academically this summer, I think will go a long way. It's always important, but I think this summer is even more so needed.
Janessa, speak to, I would assume a lot of folks on this already know, but you obviously have been in these spaces, and EMP talks about this a lot, that they're, and even in a given year, there's this thing called summer slide. So talk about what that is. And then, as we've even done a little bit of research internally, like, we're not starting at the same spot, even going into the summer we normally would be. So I don't know, just kind of what is the summer slide and how is that maybe compounded this summer?
Yeah. Yeah. So in a typical school year, there's always a little bit of a summer slide, meaning that kids leave the school year in June. When they come back in August, their academic grades and knowledge, their test scores are always a little bit lower in that August than they were in that former June, just because a lot of kids over the summer aren't reading, aren't doing anything academic. We all forget things. So they've just forgotten things. They've been out of the sync of school. And so that's natural. That happens every summer. But I think this summer, the slide is even bigger because over COVID year, like absences have been up because of technology issues or home life issues. So kids just aren't attending school as often as they were in a normal school year. And then even academically, just not as engaged. It's harder for teachers to gauge whether kids are really doing the work and completing assignments. A lot of kids will have their camera off and are just not asking questions, not as engaged as they would be in the classroom. And we've seen it. So we work with kinder through second graders. And so we've seen it internally. I was just talking to one of our volunteers who I think is on here about how at this point in the school year, our kids are usually pretty close to grade level. But at this point, we're seeing them still about like 6 months behind what they normally would be. So we need the help. Yeah.
Yeah. So creative solutions are what we need, right? And that's, we're excited to share some partners that have been trying stuff, and nobody's perfect, and they're not either, but I think they have a lot to share and a lot of great ideas for us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. So our first presenter today is Joyce Braun from Willow Avenue Mennonite Church. And we invited her and her people. They have a neat idea about how to engage kids in a COVID safe way. So Joyce, we'll let you take it away.
Okay. Let's see. I don't see myself, so I guess that's okay. All right. Hi, I belong to the Willow Avenue Mennonite Church. We have about 100 attenders with about 10 children that are school age. And we hadn't seen our Willow Avenue children for a long time because of COVID-19. And so we decided to try something that we hadn't done for a long time, not since, at least 15 years. So we decided to try a VBS and during the month of July. And so our goal was not only to see our Willow Avenue children, but also to meet children from the neighborhood and show them, introduce them to the campus, and hopefully get some new families to come to our church. So we used the Compassion Camp. You can see the logo there. The Compassion Camp materials that are published by Illustrated Ministries. And it was designed to use with Zoom during the pandemic, but we adapted it to our needs. So we publicized it in the neighborhood with flyers on Facebook, on our church website, and then with this big sign on the fence. We purchased a special phone, we purchased a phone that had a special phone number so we could text the parents and they could use that to register or to ask questions. But it turned out none of the parents used it, but it was still great because we did kind of a robocall like schools do the night before the Zoom session and the night before the drive-through to remind parents what time and where and all that. So that turned out really well. The theme for the Compassion Camp VBS was be loved, be kind, be you, as you can see there on the poster. On Mondays, we had a drive-through on our church parking lot 5 of us from our Children's Christian Ed Commission were there along with the pastors to hand out the packets. On the first day, we had registration, and we had them on clipboards so the parents could fill them out in their cars and be safe. Of course, everyone wore masks, and we got to meet the kids through the car windows. And we wore our specially, you can't see me, but I have a t-shirt on that has the logo Compassion Camp, Be Loved, Be Kind, Be You. And we had the parking lot decorated with balloons and signs, and we gave the kids each a really cute decorative bag. So the packets, as you can see here on the slide, they included a sheet, this sheet with a list of the contents, copies of the lessons for the week, a snack, and a craft material. The lessons for the week included a Bible story, discussion questions, music suggestions, a color sheet, yoga poses or movement activities, a daily examine card. You have a slide for that. And Compassion Camp, let's see, go back. I thought you did, there you go, thank you. And I'll just tell you right now, this is like a prayer that the children could use at the table with their families. And it had it was kind of like a family discussion that they could take place in. What surprised you today? What disappointed you today? And those kind of things. And then the prayer suggestion, God of fresh starts, you provide us with more than enough. Use us to be instruments of your generosity and abundance. Amen. In the packet, there was also compassion in action suggestions, and all the lessons. You could show the lessons if you'd like. There you go. All the lessons, the examine cards, and all the things that were in the packets were copied on our church copier, which we found a bit tedious, but in the long run, I guess the price wasn't that much different. So on the first day, like I said, we had the registration forms for those who hadn't registered online. And we gave them flyers about our church, and we gave them more information about Compassion Camp, the times, the Zoom link, the days, and anything else they might need to know. It was so fun to see our WAMS children and to meet some kids from the neighborhood. And we have a park right beside our campus. And so when it was a downtime, we'd just go in the park and talk to the kids there and their families. And we didn't, I don't think any of them actually started coming, but they enjoyed the little treats. We gave them the bags and the snacks and stuff. And so that was a nice connection. On Thursdays, we met on Zoom, and there were 5 adults with usually about 13 children. One person was the host or the leader who told the Bible story and kind of kept the Zoom going. And then each of us had a part. I don't really have a picture for the, well, you can see the Zoom there in the corner. Yeah, thank you. Each child had a name tag fan, which you have a picture of, and they could hold it up if they wanted to say something. And one of us led the music. One of us talked about the art or what was in their packet. And one of us asked for ideas for what the children had done that week that was kind, and she made a kindness chain. So she had many colorful strips. This was a big hit. By the end of the 5 weeks, we had this long chain of colorful ideas for kindness. So that was a lot of fun. And then one of our youth led yoga poses or movement activities. And then there was a summary and a prayer by our pastor. We felt like it was a very positive experience. We got to know some delightful children from the neighborhood, but we were a little bit disappointed no one started coming to our church. But then you have to remember, it was during a pandemic. We felt like it was a very church was on Zoom. And so we're hoping that this year, because we're meeting in person at church, that we'll get more children to come. So this year, Illustrated Ministries has expanded their curriculum to in-person sessions. It will again be called Compassion Camp, but with the theme, Changing the World with Loving Kindness. We plan to do pretty much the same program as last summer with 3 big changes. We're going to have outdoor activities with the kids on the first day instead of just a drive-through, and then they'll get their packets. And we're going to do 4 weeks instead of 5. We decided to just get them all done in July. And then the last session we're hoping to have at church during the worship service so that the kids can show what they've learned and engage with our people that go to church. So we look forward to a meaningful time again this summer.
Thanks so much, Joyce. It's neat. Neat to hear that you were able to get neighborhood kids to come too. That's awesome. My quick question, where did you get the curriculum from?
It's called Illustrated Ministries. And if you Google, I can type in the chat the link.
Yeah.
It'll take me a second to find it, but I'll do that while the next person's talking if you'd like.
Perfect, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, and if anyone else has any questions, we'll have some more time for questions and answers at the end too.
Okay.
Thank you again, Joyce. It's great to hear the creativity of how to engage kids during COVID and do it safely.
Thank you.
So our next presenter is Sam Jordan from Care Fresno, and she'll be sharing about their summer program and what they do in their summers. So Sam, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. So for this summer, we have some exciting stuff. Last summer, we actually just weren't really able to do anything. We were trying to figure out how to do online stuff, and it didn't work for us at all in the communities that we are serving. So luckily, we tried to get some plans together, and since August, we've actually been meeting in person at all our different sites. We currently have 6 sites, and we're following COVID guidelines. So we're only allowed 12 kids at each program. And we do like a rotation schedule. So we do 6 inside and 6 outside. So they'll be doing recreation, and then the other 6 will be doing homework time and like a computer program that helps with educational advancement. So each will do those for an hour, and then they'll rotate. So that's what our after school program has looked like in the fall and this spring. So in the summer, we're going to take that same after school program schedule, but we're just going to make it more fun for the kids, less homework, but an actual just summer camp. Usually for Care Fresno, we'll have a 4-week summer program, and we'll have a separate day, like a separate camp. It's a week camp, and they get to go up to the mountains, and sometimes it's the kids' first time like in the mountains, which is super fun. So we wanted to take that vibe of getting to go to the mountains, because that's just not going to happen this year, and still make it like a camp day experience for the kids and COVID safety. So for this year, this summer, we're going to be doing a 4-week summer program, and in between those 4 weeks, we're going to do a day camp. So each site, will have 7 sites in the summer, will have its own little summer program each week. It'll be 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then the sites will all come together at this day camp, and they'll still be in their little pods. So we won't be having a lot of connection and contact between everyone, but it's a way that they'll still be able to feel like they're at camp and they're still making new friends, because they're going to get to see all these kids for some of them the first time in a long time. So we're really excited about that. Our vision for this summer program is just to have let the kids have fun and make it seem like they're still at a summer camp, to stay safe and just have a great time. Our theme for the summer camp and summer program is going to be like a Lilo and Stitch kind of theme. We're going to go off of like the Ohana idea, where it's like everyone needs a family. And it'll be based off of like everyone needs a family and you can be a part of God's family. So for setup, and the program's going to be July 12th through August 4th, and then our day camp will be July 24th. So since we've been planning this for about 2 months already, and we're going to have a lot of everything just try to build off of each other. So those first 2 weeks, it'll be building up to our day camp, try to get kids excited to come to the day camp, since it'll be at a different site than the site that they're just going to. There'll be skits that will show each week at the program that'll follow a story of Layla and Glitch. So a little play on Lilo and Stitch. And they're going to be step siblings. So the kids are going to get to see these videos that Layla and Glitch will be fighting, but how do they make up in the end? And that'll be continuous throughout that day camp and throughout the summer program. And at the day camp, we're actually they're going to see like a live skit, but they'll be familiar with Layla and Glitch. We'll also be having Bible studies during the summer program that'll be talking about the idea of God's family and how sin separated us from God, and how throughout the week they can be a part of God's family and what it means to be a part of God's family. At the summer camp, at the program, we'll also have, we'll follow that same schedule of like a extracurricular activity and a computer program. We do reading aids and ExactPath through Admentum that have really helped the kids grow in their skills. So even during this COVID time, we've been able to give them things to practice. And that's how we're hoping to continue to help them learning throughout the summer. And on each day of the summer program, we're going to have a different day dedicated to something. So Mondays will be dedicated to a science day. Tuesdays will be an arts and craft day. Wednesday will be music and dancing. We'll teach them some Lilo and Stitch songs. And Thursdays will be our Bible study days. And when we go, so they'll have the first part of that will be whatever the educational advancement is for that day, whether it's a science or music. And then they'll have a computer program that will help them with their schooling. And then when they go outside, we'll have fun recreation activities for them to do, and it'll be all related to that kind of Hawaiian theme. So there'll be a lot of water days, there'll be limbo, different hula races and hula dances. And then we'll also have a mindfulness time where they have 10 minutes of just quiet time, trying to kind of help teach them how to process emotions. And just a lot of these kids don't have like 10 minutes of silence in their houses. There's always lots of craziness. So that's our aim, is just try to give them some time to actually hear their thoughts. And during this summer program, all the leaders are going to be fully vaccinated, and they will also be able to wear Hawaiian gear and just go crazy. We really want it to seem like they're camp counselors sort of feel.
Yeah, I love that. And you're already ready with your backdrop.
I know, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. For our day camp, it's going to be July 24th, and it'll be 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So it's going to be a long day, but it's going to be, like I said, building off of that, and it'll be more of like a survivor theme. So that way the kids have their own little families that they're a part of, but again, that they're still able to stay in their little pods that they've already been. So that way there's not a lot of connection. It'll feel like they're getting to meet a bunch of people, but they'll still be safe. And that'll just be different games like Bible study trivia, different relay races, and And I think the best part of this is that there's going to be a speaker still. They'll get to come talk to the kids about Jesus. There'll be the last game that the kids are going to get to play is this like giant puzzle. Well, they'll put together this big heart thing, and they're all working together to put together this heart. So it's like they're all getting to realize that they can all be a part of God's family, which is really exciting. And the kids will also get pizza and Chick-fil-A, which is I'm really excited for personally. And they'll get to just have worship songs that they've learned at program the previous weeks. So it's been a lot of setup for all of this. We've been planning this for 2 months already. We've been finding volunteers. We're asking that all our volunteers are fully vaccinated. So a lot of this has been just doing this through word of mouth. The volunteers that we already have, asking them if they know more people. We're already about 50, like we already have about 50 volunteers. So we are still looking for more volunteers. And the neighborhoods that we're doing this in are all throughout Fresno. My site is Bethel Christian Center, which is right behind Fashion Fair. The Courtyard, which is off of the 99 in Ashland, kind of by Island Water Park. There's King's Palace, which is by FPU. There's Hidalgo, which is off of Belmont and First. We have one in the Lowell neighborhood at Martin Park. And we also have our 6th site. We're starting another site too with Martin Park. So
Right in the Webster neighborhood.
yes, thank you. I was like,
Yeah.
Webster neighborhood. So that'll be our other site as well. And we
And
also,
maybe Sam, you could send us those after, and we could post those as well.
thank you. Yeah, I will definitely send all the flyers. So some tips that we've had, or some tips I would say for planning all of this is just to ask what your community wants. We've had a lot of ideas that we thought would be super great. And when we like asked parents how they felt about it, they were like, no, we're not too safe with that. So we had to go a different direction. Like we really thought that buses would be the best way to get these kids to the central location for that day camp, but they didn't want their kids riding in buses, which is totally understandable. So we got rid of the buses idea, and a lot of parents said they would be willing to drop off their kids. So that's something that we were able to match. How many children? For our summer program, we are right now we can have 12 kids, but if things continue to just get better at this point, we're expecting to have at least 20 kids at each site. And on that day of the day camp, we're only allowing 12 kids from each site. And it's going to be a mainly outside event that day too. Yeah. And another tip that we would have is just to ask the kids what they'd like to do. A lot of these kids have great ideas, better ideas than any of us could ever come up with. So that's been just really fun, asking the kids what they want to do. And then the last thing is just ask for local partnerships. We've had a lot of success in just asking people for help, asking people for volunteers to give time and money and food. We've had Chick-fil-A donate things. We've had people who know how to record professional videos, like asked to help out with the skits that we have for the kids. So we're just really excited for this. We've had micro fundraisers on Facebook and have had good luck with that. And so we've just been really blessed with all the support that we've been getting.
Yeah, that sounds so fun. You've sold me. I want to do
Thanks.
Yeah, thinking of partnership, if anyone wanted, I know most people don't have the capacity you have, but if they wanted to pick your brain and like sit down and hear about like how'd you think about 1 week of a plan? Would you be willing and open to doing that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would love to sit down and talk, and I have a lot of documents that I would just love to share too. So if you're interested in planning anything like this, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll put my email in the chat as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sam. We're all Ohana. We're all family. Our next presenter is Kelly Kucharski. She is from FACE, the Fresno Area Community Enterprises, and her organization actually is what kind of inspired us putting this together today. So Kelly, please go ahead and share with us about your summer program that you've been running for several years.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I just loved hearing about these other, the one Sam's doing and Joyce. It's really exciting. This is my favorite program at FACE. I've been with FACE for about 4 years. I'm the office administrator, but that means a lot of things, as you know, for all you nonprofit church folks. You wear a lot of different hats, and I'm just so pleased that I get to share about Summer Adventure Club because it is my favorite program. One, because the kids, but also two, because of the impact on our mission. So as you can see there, I have a little bit of a slideshow. I hope it'll answer most of the questions that were asked to be prepared to. And then, yeah, I'm happy to just have a discussion later with whatever questions anyone has. But if you want to look there, we have a logo, and then we have our FACE logo. And then that's our first, these are just some pictures from last year. So this is the 10th year we're going to go on this summer for 2021. And we did actually pull off a camp last summer. It was a risk that we took. We felt like the mission of serving the kids was the priority, knowing that they weren't going to have opportunities as much to interact. And if we could do it safely, we were going to try. And we're really glad we did, but we really had to adjust in our capacity because in the past we were really volunteer run. And because no one really was feeling safe to volunteer, we hired extra staff. So right there you can see Xavier is the older guy on the left, and he's in the middle picture. He was actually one of our Summer Adventure Club kids years ago, and now he's a staff member serving back into the program. And we have Jonathan there. I think some of you may know him, but he was one of our staff members too, and some of our kids. So this is some of the activities we did. If you don't know about FACE already, we are a nonprofit, but we serve mostly the Robinson neighborhood, but we don't turn people away if they're around. And we are a resourcing agency, but we also have our own programs to meet our mission here. So it's to meet struggling families in the Robinson neighborhood. And it really came out of North Fresno Church's commitment to the neighborhood. You know, they had a social action response team, and the Summer Adventure Club really started pretty small with just dedicated church members who went to the neighborhood apartment complexes and just started a reading club. And you start getting to make connections with the kids, and one thing leads to another. And after a while, FACE was developed in 2013 and started to oversee those programs, and then they're just really taken off with the capacity that building a nonprofit, community nonprofit can provide. So last year, if you can see there, we have a new theme every year. So that's really cool to hear about Care Fresno's Hawaiian theme. We try to have our staff team. So this is another part. FACE's core values here is care, resource, and develop. So it's not only caring, resourcing, and developing the children, but a lot of times it's caring, resourcing, and developing the staff. A lot of our staff are young people who are not necessarily ready for a future in community development work, and they don't even know what that means. And so we get them started, and they get a really real life example of what's out there and what the needs are if they want to work in serving their neighbors in this way. And this program really provides a lot of leadership opportunities. So we try to pull them together a few months before we start and really have them come up with an idea. How would you like to run the camp? What do you see as something that would be inspiring to share with the children? And so last year they decided we're going to travel the United States. And so every week was a different state. But really we try to keep it within 5 to 6 weeks because the capacity for about 20 children, which is about what I heard Sam is going to do too, is it actually takes a lot more than you'd think, especially when it's a day-to-day thing. We usually do about 4 days a week, sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on the year. And yeah, it's the same type of idea where it's adventure clubs. So it's more of a camp kind of experience, even though it's not overnight camp. than it is a school-like experience. But we do a lot of learning and enrichment activities. So, and again, that will depend on the staff and the volunteers available, kind of looking to them as resources to give back to their community and different things. So why do we start this? Well, again, it kind of came out of the church and the reading groups, but also a few children would ask, why does the church close down in the summer? So after a while, I think that it just pulled on the heartstrings of the leaders here. Lauren DeBricke, the executive director, and several other pastors and leaders here in the community said, yeah, why do we need to close down in the summer? The kids need something. Also learning from E&P about the summer slide, which is what you guys were describing earlier, but there's that learning gap between when school's out, especially for children who don't have access to go to, private camps, or their families aren't traveling to Europe and they're going to all these, fancy museums and different things like that. These kids might not have the access or the time, so they come in even further behind. And so we want to try to close that gap and provide a really fun, enriching experience that would mimic some of the other things that kids get to do. So the Robinson neighborhood is near a lot of disadvantaged and under-resourced neighborhoods. And then obviously the COVID-19 school year, you guys alluded to that, especially this last year. We're excited, really looking forward to doing something this summer because the need seems even more high and urgent than ever. And then, learning again from E&P's resources on trauma has really helped shape why we do this program too, and providing some training for our staff on, how to really come alongside kids who have experienced a lot of things that really we hope that no kid would experience. And that right there, you can see in that picture, I thought was helpful. I think it was on the slide before. I don't know if, who's navigating this. There we go. That's a good example right there. Even just having the kids sit around the table and learn how to talk to one another and share a meal. I don't know how often they get to do that, or if that's even a normal experience. Okay, let's move to the next one now. I think there's just some more pictures of some of the fun stuff we do. So you can see Lauren there instructing the kids on something. Looks like they're about to play a game. And then on the left, we went to Cat Haven. So we get to do some field trips. We try to do one field trip a week within the 6 weeks or 5 weeks. So again, like I said, part of the program is for the kids, but also as the leaders, it is developing the leaders in caring for the kids. And so we set out some expectations for our staff. And really one of them is expect the unexpected, because there's always something that comes up every summer with kids, and they're, kids bring a lot of needs. And so you have to be willing to adapt. Our objectives are just to be safe, have a safe place for the kids to be, have good participant attendance. We found that if your camp is well run, if it's fun, the kids will show up. If it's not well run and they're not having fun, all of a sudden, where are the kids? So that's one of our objectives, is just to have good attendance. Third is discipline. So a lot of our staff team, they may not be parents themselves, they're young adults, learning how to discipline children in a positive way, and also growth that provides growth for the children, especially if they're not receiving that sort of, parental care or older adult care in that way. They're going to respond differently, and that helps our staff team to grow. And then lastly, just everyone to have a good time, have fun. That's really what this is all about, learning, and learning is equivalent to having fun, at least in my perspective. I love learning. And then on the bottom there, you can see kind of our phases we go through. There's an orientation phase with the staff, with the parents. Then there's a planning phase, which is where we really put the details of the camp together, calling volunteers, deciding what days we're going to do it, what that's going to look like. And then obviously the execution phase would be the weeks of the camp. And then lastly, we have a debrief where we try to schedule daily debriefs too, because there's a lot to navigate. We have a lot of resources in helping organize something like this. If you guys want anything, please ask. I'm so happy to share. This is really, really a privilege. So I think there's another slide. I'm not sure on my presentation here. Oh yeah, there's one. Last year we got to go up to Shaver Lake, And we actually took the kids out on a pontoon boat and we pulled them on a, what is that? A tube on the back, and they had an absolute blast. And for every single one of the kids that came, that was their first time. And I was so shocked. I was like, wow, this is right in our backyard, not too far away. But just providing that kind of experience and knowing that they can just go up there if they want one day when they get to drive, or hopefully they can show up at the camp and we take them again this year. We'll see. And again, this is my favorite program a lot because of the impact. At FACE, we're connected with the church, and part of the church is, to provide a community as believers, but also as ones that serve each other. And really with the extension of the church and also within our nonprofit, Caring, Resourcing, and Developing, we a lot of times serve as like an alternative of family. And so instead of just saying, oh, well, I guess that's just what happens, we say, no, we're trying to embrace that and really just build relationship. The kids know they can come back here. Parents know, hey, my kid likes it here. Maybe I can ask them for services and help too. So really just kind of embracing that, and then trying to walk alongside their families too. So as they're struggling through, greater needs. I put on here Tattoos on the Heart because a lot of times these kids, they'll leave such an impression on you. And I don't know if anyone's read that book. It's from the pastor or the priest that oversees Homeboy Industries down in Southern California. He wrote a book called Tattoos on the Heart. And a lot of what he says in there just really strikes me as really the heart behind what we're doing. The kids will leave a mark on you, an impression on you. And I'm sure that we all leave an impression on them. And I'm happy to read this quote that's out of that book. It says, "You stand with the least likely to succeed until success is succeeded by something more valuable, kinship. You stand with the belligerent, the surly, and the bad behaved until bad behavior is recognized for the language it is, the vocabulary of the deeply wounded and of those whose burdens are more than they can bear." So I think like what Joyce said with compassion, it's kind of taking that compassionate approach, really caring for others and understanding that, what these kids are going through is really all they know. And our role is really just to provide a fun, safe place for them to be and process that. So some of the other improvements I see every single summer, the kids learn how to work together. By the end, you'll be surprised at the beginning, they don't even know how to talk to each other. At the end, they're running games together. In 6 weeks, it's amazing. Their social skills improve. They learn, we put them in a circle and we ask them to share about how is your day and how to make eye contact, talk to each other. Generally healthier engagement. We're not used to being, engaged in such a healthy fashion. Hey, how are you doing? And, that kind of stuff. And they learn how to be kinder to each other and as a group. Just in general, new skills, whether we have a volunteer teaching a musical skill or cooking skill, all kinds of different things, different sports they've never played. In the past, we've been an assimilation group for refugees, which was not something we intended to do, but we had refugees in our community and they had a chance to kind of see, how are kids socialized here in the US. I was like, wow, okay, this is your first shot at it, we'll see. But that's really impactful for their family. And just generally safe space. We've had children that are in between leaving their home and going into foster care. And we're like the most stable, solid thing that they've had in those 6 weeks. Those kind of impacts make you say, oh my gosh, every little bit of this was completely worth it. And I wish I could do it 20 times more because, every one of them really matters. And then it's a long-term investment. Like you saw earlier, Xavier is now on staff. We're hoping he'll agree to being on staff again this summer as someone who was in the program before. And then Anthony Robinson now is actually serving on our board at the organization, who is also someone who is a participant. So, and lastly, just have to put in a little pitch. We have our our fundraising event next week. So we're all super busy trying to get this together. We are doing it online and you can just go to Face Fresno, you can register. We're gonna have a lot of really great items. It's gonna be really fun. We have a program we're putting together. You can bid bid and watch the event all in the same spot. So we hope that you all come and learn more about how to support, Summer Adventure Club, but also learn more about the work that we're doing and the impact we want to make for this community. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, please ask. I'm thrilled to talk about Summer Adventure Club. I'm so happy to hear that you guys have programs too that you're doing. If there's any way we can support each other, I'm open to that too.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kelly. Wow, I love to hear the long-term impact and that one of your students is now a leader. That's so cool. Like that's the goal. That's what you want to see. So really neat. And the field trips, all that stuff, super fun. But you all started somewhere 10 years ago. You didn't have all that, and look what you have now. So I'm sure you could talk to the growth of how it took to build, how long it took to build that up too. But thank you for sharing. And then our final speaker, and then we'll also hopefully still get some time for questions and answers. So feel free to put questions in the chat or write them down as you're going through if there's someone you want to talk to more about something. But we invited Annika Jansen from Fresno County Public Library to share about some of their programming going on this summer. And of course, everything they do, you could bring your groups of kids to, or borrow some of their resources and supplies to use at some of your sites. So Annika, glad to have you here today.
Yes, thank you. So I am community librarian for Fresno County. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about what we've got going on. We have summer programs every year at the library, but we decided a couple years ago to just, instead of trying to pick a different theme every year, just call it Summer at Your Library and let that be our brand for our summer programs. So yeah, so this year it's going to be online again, as it was last year, because it's something that we have to start planning so far in advance that we just didn't know what things would look like. So it is online. It's going to be on Zoom and YouTube and Instagram, but everything is on our calendar, so you'll see where it's happening when you look at the calendar. So yeah, so we've got special performances going on, and those will start on June 7 and go through July 31st. And then we also have our reading challenge, which will start June 7 and go, you can enter your books all the way through August 7. And for that, you can register online and track your reading online through this program that we're using called Book Points. But you can also sign up in person for kids. We have some kids and teens and adults can all participate, but the paper logs will only be for the kids. But that's something you can get in person. Okay. And then, of course, the main focus for us is always combating the summer slide, so that kids remain active during the summer and keep exercising their brains and bodies. So many of the performances that we have are geared toward a school age audience, but we also have some programs for adults as well this year. So that's something you can look out for. And even for those who aren't reading yet, they can still participate in the reading challenge. You can just log books that you or someone else is reading to them. That totally counts. So you can actually start registering for that in May, but you won't be able to start logging books until June 7 when the program begins. And I should say, we're also going to we'll have the online and the paper logs. They'll be available in Spanish as well as English. So yeah, so for kids and teens, for every 4 hours of reading, you can earn one free book. And then you do another 4 hours of reading, you earn another free book. And then once you finish the program, you will fill out a survey and then be entered to win a grand prize. And I just looked at what the prizes are today, and there's a pretty cool selection of toy sets for the kids. There's like a Lego thing, and I don't know, I can't remember what they were, but that information will be coming out very soon for everyone to be able to see. And for middle schoolers, there was like a telescope and iPads for teens. For the adults, you just have to read at least 3 books, and then the prize drawing is a gift card for Barnes and Noble. And we'll send out those free books at the end of the program. So let's actually go back, and then I'll go back a couple slides. So these are the performances that'll be happening. So for the kids, there's a couple different reptile guys. There's E&M Reptile Family and Reptile Ron. And I think that this bird, Happy Birds, is a new one this year. So something with like birds doing tricks looks pretty cool. The Magic of Josiah, we had him last year as well, and Didgeridoo Down Under is a fun program. And then also a couple different music performances for the kids. So those will mostly be on Zoom. And then for teens, we'll have take and make craft activities that they can actually pick up their little kit at the branch and take it with them and do it at home. And then we'll also have some workshops from CMAC, which, if you don't know, they help people in the community connect through media, so through TV and internet. So they'll be doing some workshops, and Crazy Squirrel is a game shop. They'll be doing some workshops and some other programs on Discord and Instagram. So that's for teens. And then for adults, there's going to be a program, something about old time radio shows, a Rumi poetry reading, painting instruction, and a belly dance workout. So some cool stuff for adults too. And these will all be virtual except for the take and make crafts, and they'll all be viewable. You don't have to do the belly dancing if you don't want to, but you'll be at home, so nobody will be able to see. So it might be a good opportunity to try it. But yeah, they'll all be viewable from our website. And of course, it's all free. So you can feel free to share this with everyone you know. The only thing, for some of them, if they're on Zoom, for example, you might have to register ahead of time. And if you go in and look at the calendar, it'll provide a link to do that. And that's just so that we can get your email address so we can send you the link to the Zoom. And for the reading challenge, you will have to be a resident of Fresno County in order to win prizes. So just something to keep in mind. And if you don't already have a card, you can sign up at our website for an e-card registration on the front page of the website. Or you can also go to a library branch. We're open. Most of our branches are open slightly different hours than normal hours for curbside services, and on select days of the week, we're open in person as well for walk-in visits. So you just want to check our website or call ahead to make sure that we're open, since our hours are a little bit different than usual. And hopefully in the next coming months, things get better and we're able to open up more for more normal hours. And yeah, so just, the best way to keep up to date on this is by visiting the library website. We also, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We have a YouTube channel, so you can follow us there. We even have a kids specific YouTube page now, so some of the kids programs will be happening there. But that's pretty much it for summer. So let me know if you have any questions. I could also add that we also do, if you'd be interested in having someone come and talk to your group about the library or any of the resources that we offer, we're also available for that. And you can email me about that.
Man, these are some resources. shout out to the library. I've been doing a lot of audio booking. So the Libby app and reading books in the library, reading books, having them read to me from the library is, I've been loving that. So many good resources. Wanted to just see if there's any questions, any thoughts. We had a couple on Facebook where folks were asking, Lori at Teens That Care wanted to see if, she could plug in some mentors or some teens to some programs there. So I put in your guys' emails in the Facebook chat. Any questions for those on Zoom that you just love to ask some of our panelists? I'll give an awkward silence here for folks to either put in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself and ask. All right, nothing. Going once, twice. All right, so here's I am going to throw out one more resource for y'all. I'm going to drag this over. EMP is also part of a thing called the Network of Care. One of the things, I thought of it, Kelly, because you brought up the trauma and resilience, and just one of the things I'd throw out there, this is a free resource. So normally all of these trainings you would have to pay for. But as you continue to think about, EMP cares greatly about helping our kids get connected to the local church, being plugged in, as some of you all said, to the family of God, to continue to know who Jesus is. And then also to, have some relationships that really connect them. One of the things that's also inspired our work that Kelly mentioned is this recognition of how do we, as we're part of the people of God, we are healed. And one of the things that actually heals is our brain. And so as we've learned a lot about trauma and resilience, like how do we heal ourselves? And then how do we be healers? Brainwise is doing trainings. So this would just be additional resource for your volunteers, your church, your any groups. There's an ACEs, which is kind of what is the science of trauma. They are offering trainings on Wednesdays and Fridays. And then there's some really in-depth trainings on community resilience and clear thinking. Both of these you would pay probably $100-$150 to go to if you were just going to go to a one-off. It's actually all covered by a grant. So from now through, I think they go through about July. There's a training every single week that's free for our church, for our organization. So EMP is part of this. We're going to keep sharing it. I'm working on getting some flyers that we can also share out to groups for each one of these. But just wanted to mention those as another great resource as we continue this summer. I would just say huge thanks. Like I leave these kinds of things inspired. The fact that all you all are putting in time and energy to love our kids, to create places of connection, continue to support their education and their own personal development. And then I think even some of those stories of leadership development, I know the same thing is happening at Care Fresno, and all, these places that we get to build next generation leaders. So not only seeing them as kids, but knowing they're going to be citizens in our community or in other communities. And how do we invest in them? So I just say a huge thanks to you all. And then EMP will be sharing this in our newsletter. I'll share this out to everybody on the Zoom as well, just that way you have the recording you can pass on to any other kind of church staffs. And I know this will be a huge resource for folks. So Janessa, anything else you'd want to say as we wrap up?
No, I think, just thank you. And if we can be a resource too, to help you get volunteers, or if you just need another thought partner, I'm happy to chat with you and help you plan your program as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, with that, we'll wrap up. Have a great rest of your afternoon, everybody. And we'll see you on the other side. God bless.